Hello, everybody. How we doing? Gosh, what day is it? It's Thursday. I've been traveling like crazy. I went to LA last weekend and I'm tuning in from Austin, Texas. So I'm on Central Time. Who else is there with me? Let's see who's in the room here. If I recognize some names, hello, welcome back. If you haven't been in a Zoom call with me before, hello, my name is Alicia. I've been doing these workshops since 2020 and I've been modeling since 2016. And I'm here in Austin, Texas because I'm on a job, which is also kind of a hybrid between modeling and acting. I'm filming something, which is really, really cool and exciting. So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight. This is your workshop. I like to call this workshop like a big powwow for us because in this industry, we need it, especially as beginners. We need motivational pep talks, we need people in our corner, and we need to be able to inspire ourselves to keep going. Because the industry is forever changing and opportunities that were here couple years ago may not be here. So we have to just keep our head in the game and focus on why we want it, why we want to be a model, why we want to be an actor. So I usually get started around 5 after. I like to meet you guys and see who's in the room. So the format of this Zoom is always going to be your cameras are off. I wish they were on. I wish I could see your faces. So we're going to communicate through the Q&A section. So go ahead and find that on your Zoom box here, your Zoom window, and let me know where you're tuning in from, why you showed up. Are you a model? Are you an actor? And then there is another feature here called Raise Hand. And if it's your first time joining me in a workshop ever, go ahead and raise your hand so I can say hello. Hello, Sean. Happy you guys could make it here tonight. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to teach this workshop because of my flights. But sometimes if you have faith that everything works out, it tends to work out. So I see, let's see, we've got two in the Q&A, Jeremy, actor and model, double whammy. Hi, Kai, welcome back. For those of you who are just here, the last workshop I taught, when I book these, I book them a month at a time. I was just teaching this workshop last week, so I welcome you guys to come back again and again. It's a good refresher, and I have a series of like 8 different workshops. So if you need a pep talk or you want to learn something, relearn something, come back. And yeah, invest that time in yourself, into your career. This is a great resource that 99 provides to have people in the industry be able to kind of coach you guys and share with you guys tons of knowledge because back in 2016, I didn't have any of that. So essentially, my workshops, when I was given the opportunity in 2020, I said, what is all of the things that I wish I knew, that I wish somebody told me? At that point, I had been modeling for 4 years and I had relocated from New York to Florida. And yeah, so this actually, fun fact, was the very first workshop that I came up with. They kind of give you free rein and they say, hey, we trust you, we trust your experience, and whatever knowledge you have to put into a workshop, go for it. So this was the very first workshop that I ever created because I thought it was just so important, seeing as how many times this industry, and I'm a little bit dramatic when I say this, but it felt like they were chewing me up and spitting me out, or I was leaving big rooms with big opportunities with my tail between my legs, and I had to find a way to stay inspired and keep showing up. So, this workshop is basically around that mindset. And my goal is for you guys to feel really inspired by the end of tonight's workshop. So we have about an hour together. Thank you to those who are saying hello. We've got North Carolina. Ashley's returning. Hello, actress, singer, model. We've got a triple whammy. Danielle from Apopka. I'm all the way down in South Florida. When I'm home, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. But I tried to drive that Apopka. I tried to drive that trail one day, the wildlife trail, and it was closed. Beautiful, beautiful section of Florida. I'm into acting, only 5'2", so I hope only for print modeling. Hello, Desiree. Philadelphia, interested in all avenues. St. Louis, Missouri. Hello from Northern Virginia near DC. You guys are in some pretty good markets. Dana, I was in the last workshop. Want to learn more so I can become an actress. And we've got a Canadian in the house with us. I believe 99 is expanding to the UK too, so I'm really excited. And we just gotta give credit where it's due to technology. I mean, that we can all enter this room together and we're all in different parts of the world is really cool. So welcome, you guys. Grab some water, grab notes if you want to take notes. But we're going to go ahead and get started and keep that participation flowing because I have a question for you right off the rip. How would you define inspiration? You guys signed up for a workshop tonight titled Staying Inspired. So I'm just curious, what does inspiration mean to you if you had to give it a definition? And you can go ahead and pop that in the Q&A. I see a few of you chatting in the chat. I guess I can check both, but my notification goes right to the Q&A. So, hello, Janine, Virginia living in Atlanta. Atlanta is another great market as well. So I'm excited to hear your responses because sometimes I feel like we say things and it's really helpful to have a clear understanding of how we define things. What do we got here? The spark. Yes, Ashley, I remember this answer. Kai, motivation, 100%. If somebody inspires you, you could say that they are motivating you. And I love this description, calling it a spark, because I'm going to give you guys a brand new definition of inspiration that you guys would not have really thought of. So I guess this is kind of like a trick question, but if I needed to give you a clue, then spark would be a clue. And then then I want you guys to tell me what was the last thing that inspired you to keep pursuing modeling and acting? Was it something that happened? Was it something that you viewed online or on TV? Was it an opportunity? Was it a friend? Was it a piece of encouragement? And this is going to help us out a lot later in the workshop when we start talking about expanders, which was a brand new concept to me about, I don't know, a little less than a year ago. I started talking about that in these workshops because that's one thing is that as I continue my journey in modeling and acting, I'm always looking for new ground that I've broken and light bulb moments. And so when that happens, I go ahead and I put it into the workshops that I teach. So they're never always the same. We've got godly motivation. I absolutely love that. Showing my true worth. Absolutely. Watching others succeed and overcome obstacles. That's another great foreshadowing for the idea of an expander. Landing my first role. Congratulations. Nothing really compares to that feeling, does it? Where you put in the work, you've showed up, you've submitted, you've auditioned, you've fine-tuned your craft, and then all of a sudden you get a call that says, hey, you booked it. It's really, really, really exciting. So keep a lookout for my workshop, Booked and Ready, because that is one of the more popular in-demand workshops from what I've been told, because it kind of goes over the preparation that you need before you show up for your first day on set. So keep a lookout for that. But lo and behold, we've got to the definition of inspire. And so I I know what it means to me. I know what it feels to be inspired. You could call it a spark, you could call it motivation, godly motivation. But when you look it up, the actual definition is to give rise to, which kind of blew my mind a little bit because none of how we interpret inspiration um, talks about a rise, right? So I kind of immediately imagined like the cells in your body like getting excited or getting risen, that feeling of inspiration. And it's not something that you can photograph. It's not a thing, a person, a place. It's a verb, it's an action. So it's something that we feel. So then I took it back to the Latin root, inspirare, and it is to inflame or blow into. So immediately I started thinking of fire, which when Ashley said spark, I was so excited because that is how a fire gets started, right? So I want you guys to think of your inspiration as something like a fire and think about when you are trying to keep a fire burning, you have to keep feeding it. It's not just something that's going to flow into your life. You have to kind of fight for it, right? Especially if we're in an industry that we hear no more often than yes. Or we think we've gotten really good at something and then we have to adapt and pivot and try something new. Hence, me in Austin, Texas, trying to knock out some acting here. You guys being here, investing in yourself, signing up for these workshops. Those are all excellent ways to keep that inspiration flowing. And also, inspiration is where you look for it. So, if you're into fashion or if you're into modeling, there is a whole world out there of knowledge, of connections that you can make that will continue to inspire you. I teach a workshop called social media branding, and one thing that we touch on in that workshop is how amazing it is to build a network on social media. And when you open an app to have tons of things to keep that fire continuously burning, where you see other people landing roles or projects or directors or people talking about the industry, showing their art, showing their creativity. So it will be really wise for you guys to always desire something, to keep something of a flame or an energy to one's life and heart. So now that we have a clear understanding of inspiration, hopefully, I can teach you guys how to stay inspired. This was me back in 2016. I had landed my very first contract in New York City. I got a little bit of what was called a late start at that time, is what I was told. Late start didn't matter to me. I kept it going and I kept pursuing. This industry would later release me. They would bring me into New York to sit me down in a room and tell me that they no longer want to work with me anymore. So that was about I would say like a year and a half into it. I had quit my job that I graduated college for to be available for the castings. I started waitressing nights and weekends so that if I had a casting on a random Wednesday at 10 in the morning, I could be there. But we're really lucky and fortunate these days because a lot of the castings are done online, and I think that that makes things a lot easier for us. But I would love to be inspired by you guys. So if at any point you feel compelled to share or maybe just to reflect on these things, um, a moment maybe you almost gave up, pushed through, and what came next. So that could have been the end of the road for me. And in fact, at that time, my mindset was kind of like, hey, I gave it a shot. It didn't work out. Back to the drawing board. But it was like 2 weeks later that I got scouted at a fair with my friend. And yeah, ever since then, my career has kind of been, rolling with steady momentum. I'm very grateful. Um, Maybe even a small win that led to bigger things. So sometimes, with this industry, we can book really small roles. It could be background work, it could be a non-speaking role, maybe. But when you are on set and you're working and you are in your flow and you're networking, people could take notice of you and recommend you for another project. And that's happened to me several times in my career. So always remember that those small wins can lead to bigger things or something or someone, something that you're doing it for that keeps your fire alive, keeps your fire burning, and drives you to succeed where there is no other option. You have to succeed. And that's kind of where I was at when I had the opportunity to model in New York. It's funny because, you go to college, you graduate, you get a job, and you think that's what you want. And for me, I said, I don't think this is what I want. So, luckily, I had a lot of support from my friends and my family. But I did the unthinkable. I quit my job, which I don't recommend to anybody, but we're very fortunate now where we can get home from work and submit a self-tape. And if we book a job, we can ask for time off. And yeah, so I'm interested to hear your journey. Let's see if anybody has shared. Oh, I moved here after a loss of mom, dad, and husband. Yeah. I'm enjoying exploring new things and have the peace to do so. I've enjoyed the screen and the stage most of my life, spending years in New York City and loving fashion. Thank you. Your name is under anonymous attendee. I wish I could acknowledge you by name, but thank you for sharing. B, yes, this is where I see everybody's messages. Thank you. Here's another little point of inspiration, and then we're gonna move forward. But this was right after I was dropped from my agency. I had booked Target like 3 months prior, and the print ad finally came out. And this was a very scary moment in my career where I didn't know if I could do it, where you book a job and it's your first time shooting in underwear. And I was like, next to another woman and comparing myself and in a room full of people in underwear. And I pushed through and I did it. And I was nervous at this time because I had already decided to move to Florida and I was unsure if I was going to have the same opportunities in Florida that I had in New York. But there was like, I like to call it like an inner tug. And it told me that that's where I needed to go and that's what I needed to do. And this visual representation of me in the Target ad was a culmination of all of the bravery, all of the courage, and it proved to me that I could do it and that I could do hard things and I could do scary things. And so I kept at it, kept showing up. And that is what I want for you guys too, as well. You're going to be put out of your comfort zone, and sometimes you're going to have to learn new skills. It's not really a skill that comes natural. It's something you have to learn as you go. So I also invite you guys to think about what is success to you, in this business. What is it exactly that we want out of it? Why are we here? Is it because we want to be rich and famous? So throughout my career, it's been 10 years in the making, I've kind of had to redefine success because I always thought like, oh, if I could be a full-time model and quit all of my part-time jobs, then I would be successful because a lot of times you would go to castings or agency meetings and they'd say, "Are you a full-time model?" And I'd say, "No, I still work a serving job." And that's part of the hustle, right? But I started to realize that my personal definition of success had nothing to do with what other people saw it as, the way that I would define success. And I want the same for you guys too, uh, is dedication and relentless effort, longevity and integrity in your work, remaining grounded and remaining humble, and loving your work, not just for the recognition. So I also used to think that success was like, you know, getting a billboard in New York City or people stopping you and say, "Hey, are you the model from XYZ?" And what I learned in this industry is that a lot of models work in complete obscurity. So they're very successful They have steady income, they love what they do, they're dedicated to it, but they would walk down the street and no one would even know that they model. So success was redefined for me in these aspects, and that gave me um, a lot of oxygen into my fire, right? So I wasn't looking at what I didn't do, I was looking at what I was doing, and to me, that was success in a nutshell. So, how do we achieve success? And I had to go do some research to figure out what these quote unquote successful people, how they attribute their success. And so they broke it down to this equation, and this has kind of changed my mindset on what success is. 80% of it, they said, is why. And 20% is how. And by why, that means your mindset, your goals, the growth, the improvement, your attitude, your motivations, and your ability to improve. So that is the meat of success. And I always thought that it was the opposite, that it was what you do, what actions, what strategies, what techniques are you doing, what training and networking are you doing, how many auditions are you getting in a month. So the foundation of success really all starts within, which is crazy. So please share or reflect. Let's get clear on our why here since it's 80% of our success. Why do we want to break into this industry? So this why is going to help keep you inspired. So let's say you audition for a role, you get a call back, you're on Zoom, and this has happened to me before, and you feel like you're doing a good job, or maybe you get a little bit nervous and you don't fulfill how you wanted to audition, and you end up not getting the role, or it's something that you really worked for, that you felt really good about, and then let's say maybe you see your friend get the role. Those might be times where you might feel overwhelmed and want to give up. But again, we have to turn back to our why and say, why am I doing this? Right? And then that will keep that inspiration flowing. It will keep our mindset positive, our motivation positive. This is our purpose, our direction for pursuing what we're pursuing is all embedded in this idea of why. So I encourage you guys to have it be something outside of yourself, um, something for the greater good that you can really connect to. Um, that really helped me because when I first started modeling, I thought, okay, so if I model, I'll feel pretty and glamorous all the time, and I'll make a lot of money. And all the kids who made fun of me in high school, they'll be laughing now. You know, silly little things like that that really is not going to drive me through my career when I'm having those tough moments. It has to be for the greater good of all. So think about your why while I tell you the truth about this industry. And I love this slide because the exact reality of the industry is exactly why people give up. Because rejection is constant. I just got an email in my inbox today that I wasn't chosen for a job that I was on hold for. It happens. Comparison is real. So this morning, when I got picked up to go to the set, I was in a van with the marketing team of the company that I'm working for, the client, and I was with two other models. And so it's kind of easy sometimes in this industry when you're sharing the set with other models to compare yourself. Maybe they're more socially charismatic than you. And one thing I had to really learn about myself is that I'm a little slow to warm up. So once you get me going, I'm friendly and charismatic, but at first introductions can feel a little crunchy, like I like to describe them. But that comparison is real, and some people let it be. The differences between them and other models, they let it hold them back or stop them rather than just accepting yourself for exactly who you are, and that is perfectly fine. You don't have to try to be like anybody else. Authenticity is the most valuable asset that you have. And I had to learn that too. Um, you know, so gigs also can be sparse. Before this job, I hadn't booked a job since March. So it was a little bit of a slow spring into summer for me. And the previous year, I was booking jobs every month. So things can really change. Success is not linear. So sometimes you're up, you're going, and sometimes you're down. And that is exactly why people give up. But as you can see, if you change your mindset and your attitude, that 80%, right, of your why, your purpose, your goals, if you change your attitude towards this aspect of the industry, it's really not so bad. So the why that keeps carrying me back, I consider this why sort of like passion, right? What are we passionate about? It is going to sustain you. It's going to feel meaningful to you when you show up to work. So, being a part of the representation that makes women feel beautiful and seen, that is my why. So, this role that I'm playing for this job in Austin, Texas is a Pilates mom. And I just can't wait. Uh, and it's kind of silent. You don't always get the recognition, right? But just feeling like there are women out there who are going to see my role and they're going to feel seen in it. I also have my why for personal reasons, the depths of my creative abilities. I want to see what I'm capable of, what I can create. I love to create, and we should all consider ourselves artists if we're in this industry, and you are an artist. And I want to develop unshakable confidence and inspire others to do the same, knowing that they can walk into a room, they can sign on to a workshop, and they can convey their point, they can express, they can be charismatic, and when they step onto the set, they are a force that people want to work with. So I would love to relay that to other people and help them feel confident in their abilities as well. So I put this picture here because this is back to 2016. This is when I first felt that inspiration, that inner tug, that pull into this creative world. When I saw this cover of the magazine of Ashley Graham, and she's actually an expander for me, which I can't wait to tell you guys about getting expanders to help you along your journey in this industry. But this is like the beginning of the change that I needed to see in the fashion industry, where it was like a body inclusivity, where the fashion industry really started to change for women. And this woman has made leaps and bounds. She's inspired women worldwide to embrace their who they are, what they look like. And so I can't wait to tell you about her. But let me see what you guys are saying in the Q&A here. Ooh, I love it. I've got lots to read here. Show representation for other models and actors with health challenges about ways to be resilient and dedicated. It can be discouraging, but nice to inspire others by my role within the fashion, acting, and modeling world. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. And yes, that is so important. I'm making the money to help my friends dying from cancer. That is amazing. You have a wonderful heart. I want to be famous and inspire others and give back to the community. If I become successful, contribute to charity, to the homeless and less fortunate, and also write or tell my life story in an autobiography and write the screenplay of my book. Write it down. Have that in on your fridge, on your bathroom mirror where you can see it. Set those goals. Just reading your comments. I do this for the love. Of course, there's lots of love out there. So yeah, we're about halfway through the workshop. Yeah, it's 6:30 on the dot where I'm tuning in from. So go ahead and send me some smiley face emojis if you guys are still here with me. We're gonna get into the nitty-gritty. Now that we've covered our bases here, I'm going to tell you guys actually practical ways to stay inspired. So, the top list and the bottom list, we're going to elaborate on. So, this is like a little sandwich here. So, the middle part, I'm going to focus on maintaining trust in the process too. So, let's say you have to pivot. Right now, I'm pivoting a little bit from modeling into acting. I have to trust that that is where I'm being pulled in that direction, maybe more commercial acting. I've done focused on modeling for 10 years. So trusting the process of where it's pulling you into. If you don't get a job, if your agency releases you from your contract, if you're not feeling aligned with your current agency and you think that you should sever ways, that is the trust in the process that you need to have. And people always say that's like number one advice in this industry. They say, oh, just trust the process. And I feel like they say that because this industry can be a little bit brutal, right? There's been a lot of humbling moments in my career. But it really does help you instead of looking at it like, a devastating fork in the road or a clear cut between the beginning and the end. If you just trust that that's part of the process, right? It really helps maintain that inspiration that, hey, it's just part of the process. It's just part of my journey. And no two journeys in this industry are the same. So it's better that you trust the way that yours is leading you and never mind where someone else's journey is going. Keep showing up. If you've been to my workshops before, you know that this is like my mantra. That is how we get success in this industry because half the battle is just showing up, is getting yourself in the self-tape, in the casting room, shaking hands with the casting director, introducing yourself. Just that process of showing up can open more doors than, maybe going in and let's say you didn't audition well. Oh well, but you still showed up, you still got seen, you still had the courage to show up and make an impression. So keep showing up is like my best advice that I could ever give you guys. Because you just never know what's going to happen once you show up. But if you don't show up, you know for sure what's going to happen is you're not going to get the job. Acknowledge your support team. I don't think it's that easy to support, freelancers, gig workers in this day and age. So people think that we are a little bit crazy because sometimes we don't have the security of when our next paycheck is coming, right? Or they think it's just a dream, just a silly dream that you're chasing, right? So when you have people who genuinely support you and believe in you, please acknowledge them and lean on them. Have them pray for you, have them call you, wish you luck, keep them involved in your journey because I would have given up several times if it weren't for, I like to call them my little cheerleaders. And I've built a wonderful community on social media too. And you can also do the same for yourself. Just having that support team will literally help you keep going. Take care of yourself mentally and physically. Self-love is the way that we unlock many doors. So if you're wondering how mental and physical health fall under self-love, because you need to tend to yourself. So if you want to have a physical, you know, relationship with your body when you go on set, a lot of it is in your posture, in your connection to your body. So I found that working out, yoga, going for a walk, all of it was a double whammy where it would help me get more grounded into my physical being, have a better connection with my body, and it was clearing mental space within my head so that I was able to show up and not feel so clogged up. I was open to receiving, and giving, quite honestly, emanating. playing a character, playing a role, having the mental space to hold that as well. Honor where you come from, your story. So, um, rather if, than trying to change where you came from, honor it. If let's say you wanted to act long ago, that was my thing. I always wanted to act and sing, but I was way too shy to do it. And instead of pretending that I wasn't a shy kid, I confidently tell people when they get to know me, like I would never even think that I would be an actress or a model because I was such a shy kid. But that is part of your story. People can get inspired by your story. So if there's something particular that stands out in your childhood or your hometown or where you came from, your come up, maybe your past experiences in the acting, maybe you stepped away from it and you came back, honor that, share that. That's part of you, that's part of your story. And that can also be what inspires other people. Learn to see rejection as redirection. So, quite frankly, when I first started, I would take rejection so very personally. I would think, what's wrong with me? What do I have to change? How do I have to do better? But now I'm looking for alignment. So, if I'm not the right person for the project, I don't want to try to make it fit. I don't want to try to, alter anything about myself to try to fit into a role. And if I'm not the right fit for the role, then it's not personal. It's just kind of redirecting me into the next role that will be right for me. So it's all depends on kind of how you see it too. If you see rejection when you hear no as a personal reflection of you, it's going to hinder your ability to stay inspired. So just say, oh, okay, well, it's pointing me in the direction of where else I need to go next. So obviously, that client, that project, that role was not right for me at this time, too. There's always hope in the future. So this client that I just heard a no from in my inbox today, I had already sent in an audition for them last year, too. So I told my agent today, I said, maybe the third time will be the charm. So you just have to keep a positive mindset, right? And one thing that me and my agent like to say when I get rejected or redirected or it's not in alignment is their loss, right? Their loss. Okay. I would like you guys to find the raise hand feature and please let me know by show of hands if you have ever made a vision board. Cool, cool. Okay. Yeah, they're kind of like a new concept, I guess, to a lot of people. And what I find when I talk about this is that there's logical side of the brain and then there's the idealistic part of the brain. But I was having a chat with my boyfriend and he was like, I don't like the word manifestation. I don't think that it's a manifestation. I think everything is hard work and the choices you make. Okay, you can definitely see it that way because realistically, that's true. But psychologically, your brain, if you keep feeding it certain images, or if you see something every day when you wake up, psychologically, there are studies proven that it does help your life and your choices take shape towards that. So, the idea of a vision board is to have images, pictures, affirmations that represent your top tier dreams, goals, and desires because I think we can kind of get lost in the sauce. We wake up, we clean, we make breakfast, we have coffee, we go to work, we get a paycheck, we pay our bills, we clean our house, we go to bed, we raise kids, blah, blah, blah. But there's another aspect where we want to achieve our highest self, our highest goals. So they say that if you have a vision board, it's a visual representation of like a roadmap for how you envision your life. So in these little boxes here, these are ideas of what you can cut out in a magazine. So I used to work at a hair salon and we had tons of magazines. So the next time you visit your hair salon or the next time you visit your barber shop, ask if they have any magazines that they're getting rid of. Or, keep a lookout at the grocery store. Back in the day, I feel like magazines, the cost of them have gone up exponentially. But yeah, try to source some magazines. And if you see one at your local juice bar, pick it up. Sometimes they give magazines out for free. Once you get a good collection of magazines, sit down one night with scissors, glue, piece of paper, like a cardstock paper, and just see what calls to you. Imagery, wording. And then they say when you put up your vision board and you see it every day, your mind stays laser focused on kind of making those things make their way to you. So try it. I should do a vision board party. It's been kind of an idea of mine to have a bunch of friends over. They each bring, like 5 magazines. We all sit down together at the new year and make vision boards. So let me know how that goes for you. Here is a little example, and this will definitely help us stay creatively engaged and inspired for sure. Expanders. I hinted at this a lot. I think this has been kind of groundbreaking for me. Expanders prove that you can have it too. And so they are people that have achieved something in their life or created something that you would like to achieve, something that you desire, something that they've done that inspires you. Maybe you can relate to them. Maybe they're your neighbor. Maybe you live on the same street. Maybe they were your friend from church. Anybody. It could be somebody in the entertainment industry for us, but it could just be maybe somebody you know who wrote an autobiography and you also want to write an autobiography. So when you examine them, it's you say, "Oh darn, I wish I could do that," right? So it shows you that it's possible, and they're not, they're just regular everyday people. They all started from their own humble beginning. So once you found your expanders, think about what characteristics are they embodying? What do you think they believe about themselves? And then you identify the gaps between what you're embodying and what you believe about yourself, and it will help you shift more towards that. And the idea, they call it an expander, is because it expands you and your capabilities and what you think is possible. So here I am looking at a picture of Ashley Graham on the beach, admiring her, being inspired by her confidence, her boldness, her brilliance, her beautiful features. And I say, well, I got to get my butt on the sand. I got to get out there in the sun. If I want to work in Miami, and work for swimwear brands, I've got to show that I'm confident enough to get on that beach. So this picture was my very first time shooting on the beach. And it was scary, but I made it out alive, and then I built the confidence to do it again and again and again. So if it weren't for having that expander, I don't think that I could have brought that out of myself. So do you see what I'm saying? When you have an expander, it helps you bring it out of yourself. Um, so think about maybe the possibility that you could be an expander for somebody else as well. And what I really liked when I was reading up on expanders is they were saying that let's say you go see a play, you're really into acting, or you watch a film and you are just so mesmerized or entranced by a certain actor, their ability to play the character, their connection to the screen, to their characters. They're saying that when you feel that pull, that inspiration from somebody, that is your invitation for you to step into that as well. So you're recognizing aspects of somebody else that you too are capable of, that you just haven't integrated yet. And it's inviting you. That feeling of being inspired by somebody else is supposed to be looked at as an invitation, not for you to sit there and say, "Oh, I wish I could do that. I can't do that. They have this and I don't." Think of it as an invitation. Think of it as a call to action where it's like, I've got to do it. So these are some expanders for me, even just in the imagery and how they portray themselves. And it really helps me bring out that creative expression in myself as well. And also, I encourage you guys to pick three expanders. Think about who your expanders could be, and then read up on them. Read interviews that they've done. What are their values? What is their mindset? So this is a quote by Joan Small. She was a Victoria's Secret model. The beauty of a woman is not in facial mode, but the true beauty in a woman is reflected in her soul. And what I love about photography is that I feel like it can truly capture the soul's essence. It's wild how it can magnify what we are putting out, what we are emanating. You can't really fake confidence. Just be confident in who you are when you walk into a room and feel like you own it. This is Nina Agdal. She was a Sports Illustrated model. So you see how it kind of inspires you to step out of your comfort zone and create something. So, how to expand? So, you have your expanders, but you can also be an expander for yourself when you commit to action and you stay engaged to your craft. You're building your craft, you're fine tuning. It is a it's a journey. You get better each time you show up. So, planning photo shoots, practicing your connection to the camera. I'll never forget the first time I showed up to an agency to try to get a contract. I showed him a bunch of pictures I had taken. I had planned photo shoots with friends. I printed them all out, put them in a portfolio, and he said, when I look at these pictures, I don't feel your connection to the camera. I feel you're just standing in front of a doorway. And it really blew my mind to where I said, okay, modeling is not really just about standing there looking good, having your hair done, your makeup done, and having a cute outfit on. It's about bringing that connection to the camera because people hire models to captivate them. They want to have the model make the consumer feel something. So practice that, attending and submitting to every casting you can, even if you feel like maybe it's not for you, or maybe it's going to be too challenging. I can't tell you how many times I've turned down castings because I said, I don't have time to learn those lines, or I don't want to be in a Mucinex commercial. But if the Mucinex commercial is going to help you grow and step into, being a better actor, being a better actress, having more experience, submit. You never know what could happen. Even if you submit to that and you don't get it, maybe the casting director sees you for a different project. Staying in the know is important, and know who top photographers, directors are, listen to podcasts, read interviews, work with a mentor, take classes. Ding, ding. You guys are all on the money right now. Setting goals too. Where do you want to be a year from now? What are some goals? They could be big goals, they can be small goals, but commit to making them happen. Take chances on them. Showing up. You guys know what I said about showing up. So showing up to this workshop, showing up to network. Social media is a great way to show up. Having good communication with your agent to stay engaged and stay on their radar. And then before I let you guys go, because we're towards the end, and I feel like I've been kind of talking slow, but this is one thing that has had powerful improvements in my career and in my ability to stay inspired because naturally the human condition, we have an ego. The ego tries to protect us, and it can come in sometimes and say some thoughts that aren't true. So if you are listening to those, you're always going to be held back. But if you're listening to them with the intention to banish them and prove them false, then you're going to be able to propel forward. So it all starts in the mind, what you're thinking, what you're telling yourself. And sometimes these thoughts run on autopilot and we don't realize that they're there, right? Um, so we have to find out our opposing thoughts to kick them away. And when we get really good at consistently banishing these doubts and fears, then we can stay in this state of being inspired and being able to sustain a career in this industry. So here are some examples. I used to always think because I have this tattoo that I got when I was younger that it made me ineligible for modeling swimwear. So when I would get a swimwear casting, I'd tell my agent, can't do it. I have a tattoo. They'll never hire me. Well, whose thought, like what kind of thought is that? It's not helping you. So I had to banish that thought. Anytime it trickled in, I had to kick it out and say, the right client that I am aligned with will want to showcase me for me. So if I don't put myself out there, I'll never get selected. But if I do, I could potentially find a client who wants to work with me regardless. And guess what I did? I've worked with this client on many of their campaigns since 2019. I've shot maybe five or six of their campaigns. So it's a continuous client for me. And if I had held myself back by those limiting beliefs, I never would have been able to establish myself in the industry as a model. So I would have just kept holding myself back. So you just have to go for it sometimes and choose a more empowering thought pattern. Another one being a plus size curve model. I used to think, oh, well, there's no way I can, I can model by myself, but if you put me next to a straight size model, I might not be as confident. Or I might not be able to do that. And I had to realize that that thought again wasn't serving me. And so, a more helpful thought is that everybody is unique and beautiful in their own way. And I'm in an industry that wants to showcase different body types. So, embrace it, take up the space, right? Ooh, I feel a sneeze coming on. Phew. Pardon me. Another helpful thought that continuously runs in my mind is to stay the course. So, I've just hit 10 years in the game. And my now mantra is like, okay, 10 more. Let's rev it up, run it up. Let's see what else I could get into, what else I can accomplish. So it's not a marathon to run towards the next best thing. Sometimes it means taking small jobs. Sometimes it means, roughing out a slow season, having the courage to show up and audition for things that are outside of your comfort zone. So this whole job that I booked in Austin, Texas, I remember being at my friend's house, getting the email, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I have a self-tape that's due by tomorrow, and tomorrow I have plans. I have to run home and I have to get this done." I did it on the drop of a hat. And I ended up getting this job booked. So that to me is staying the course, right? Showing up. So here's some examples too that I hope leave you with a bit of inspiration. My favorite on this list is Jim Carrey. He wrote himself a check for $10 million dollars and he kept it in his wallet. So every day, imagine he's going in his wallet and he can see that. This is again the power to that vision board of having the constant reminder. And his idea in doing that was that someday he was going to be able to cash that check for himself. And would you know it, his very first role, Dumb and Dumber, paid him $10 million dollars. So amazing. There's a lot of success stories out there, people who didn't give up, people who kept putting one foot in front of another, and then eventually, finally, they broke into the industry. So it's not easy. It's not going to be easy. But again, if you hold on to that inspiration, and find ways to stay inspired, to stay engaged, you can build a very sustainable, long-lasting, fulfilling career. And when you stay in this energy of being inspired, you are magnetic, where it's like people want to work with you. They can feel your positive energy, they can feel your authenticity. And they like how you show up. They like how you walk into rooms because you're holding that energy of somebody who believes in themselves, somebody who's grounded, somebody who's doing the work. So again, act like you're amazing. Even if you're a beginner, act like you're a pro. I'm not a supermodel, but when I walk into a room, I carry myself like I am a supermodel. I walk, I try to talk, I try to interact like I've been doing this since I was a baby. Like I'm so in it to win it. like it's natural, right? But there was a time where it wasn't. It was a struggle. So I had to learn that what you believe about yourself, people will see it. Not giving up too. I know a lot of people who gave up or took a step back, and you could always come back. But there is a place for you in this industry, depending on your height, depending on a lot of factors. People will say, oh, well, this industry has a tendency to tell you everything that you're not. Like, oh, you're not tall enough, you're not big enough, you're not skinny enough, you're not young enough. Okay, well, there's going to be a role where I am the perfect age. Hello, Pilates mom, booked the role. And it feels aligned, like it was meant for me. So, sustaining habits that get you closer to the best version of yourself. I'm here looking for a yoga studio to go to tomorrow. It's scary to show up to a new yoga studio where I haven't been, but these are the habits that get me closer to feeling like the most confident, radiant version of myself. And that's who I want to bring to set. And then my favorite on this list is loving who you are now while working for who you want to become. So maybe you're not where you see yourself right now. Maybe you're struggling. Maybe there's a lot of things up against you, but this moment you will never get back. This grit that you're bringing, this determination, you will never get back. So relish in where you are now and keep working for who you want to become. Okay? Last but not least, never tell yourself you're too old to make it. Never tell yourself you missed your chance. These are not helpful thoughts. Never tell yourself you aren't good enough. You can do it. Your chance is here, and you are the perfect spot for where you want to be. You showed up tonight. Be so proud of that. You're halfway there. You're halfway there. So, if you guys enjoyed this workshop, I have another one on Saturday. Saturday is going to be 11 a.m. Central Time. So I hope to see you guys there. That is one of the newer workshops that I've rolled out. It's called Mindset Shifts for a Sustainable, Long-Lasting Career. It's a very powerful workshop because about, yeah, 4 years into my beginner back in 2016, I realized that it's a lot has to do with what's going on in your mind, how we approach this industry. And when we have a great mindset towards the industry, we have a healthy relationship with the industry, and we deserve to have a healthy relationship with our career. So, dropping some big news for you guys. If you guys want me to look at your portfolio, if you have any questions, you need me to clear any confusion, you need action steps, you need advice, let me know. You can contact me on Instagram or email. I'm now offering one-on-one strategy calls, and I'm also in the process of building a brand on my social media called Not Your Average Model. And that also serves as a community for aspiring models, beginner models. I'm dropping tips and tricks. I'm being more vocal on social media. So instead of just sharing recent work or sharing, pictures that I have, I'm actually sharing breakthroughs that I'm having as I'm having them behind the scenes. And this is all working up to help you guys and give back, you know? So if you guys have any questions, now would be the time to ask them. Set your alarms or calendars, mark your calendars for Saturday. I hope to be able to connect with you guys again. Janine, I'm reading your comment now. That was really sweet of you. That is my whole purpose here is to be encouraging to you guys because I didn't have it. I didn't have really many people encouraging me in the beginning, and so it can really make the difference. So, Amber, thank you so much for your feedback. Jeremy says, always make yourself a better version of yourself than yesterday. 100%. So, have I reached my goal of making you guys feel inspired and motivated? That was my goal at the top of the hour. We've now reached the end, so I hope you guys are there. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Keep me in your thoughts because I will be shooting this whole segment on Sunday. And yeah, if you guys want to come back on Saturday, we can talk all things mindsets and I'll get you guys set up so you have a good grasp on the minds here. Okay? Have a good rest of your night. Best of luck to you all, and hopefully, I'll connect with you guys in the future. Take care.